Right, hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm absolutely delighted you've chosen to spend the next bit of your day with me, because today we're diving deep into something that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary, the champions from the spectators, the leaders from the followers. We're talking about the mindset of a winner. Now, before we crack on, I want you to pause for a moment and think about someone you admire, someone who's achieved something remarkable in their field. It might be an athlete, an entrepreneur, an artist, or perhaps someone closer to home. What is it about them that sets them apart? Is it their talent, their circumstances, their luck? Well, I'm here to tell you that whilst those factors might play a role, there's something far more fundamental at work. It's what goes on between their ears. It's their mindset. And the brilliant news is that mindset isn't something you're born with. It's something you can develop, cultivate, and master.
Let's start with a fundamental truth. Winners think differently. They don't just act differently or work differently. They literally process the world through a different lens. And today, we're going to explore exactly what that lens looks like. The first pillar of a winner's mindset is radical ownership. Winners understand that they are the architects of their own destiny. They don't spend their energy blaming circumstances, other people, or bad luck. Instead, they ask themselves a powerful question. What can I control in this situation? Think about it. When something goes wrong in your life, what's your immediate reaction? Do you look outward for someone or something to blame? Or do you look inward and ask, what could I have done differently? Winners choose the latter every single time. This doesn't mean they're delusional or that they ignore external factors. Rather, they understand that focusing on what they can't control is a waste of precious mental energy. They channel that energy into what they can influence: their effort, their attitude, their preparation, and their response to setbacks. I remember reading about a footballer who missed a crucial penalty in a major tournament. Instead of blaming the pressure, the crowd, or the goalkeeper's mind games, he spent the next month analysing his technique, studying the psychology of penalty taking, and practicing until his success rate was near perfect. That's ownership in action. The second characteristic of winners is their insatiable hunger for growth. They operate from what psychologist Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset, the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. Winners see challenges not as threats to their ego, but as opportunities to expand their capabilities. They understand that comfort is the enemy of progress. When they encounter something difficult, they don't think, I'm not good at this. They think, I'm not good at this yet. This subtle shift in language creates a profound difference in behavior. It transforms obstacles from stop signs into stepping stones. It turns criticism from an attack into valuable feedback. It changes failure from a verdict into valuable data. Consider the story of any successful entrepreneur. They'll tell you about the failures, the rejections, the moments when everything seemed impossible. But notice how they frame these experiences. They don't dwell on the pain or the embarrassment. They focus on what they learned, how they grew, and how those experiences prepared them for eventual success. This brings us to perhaps the most crucial element of a winner's mindset: resilience. Not the kind of resilience that just endures hardship, but the kind that actually grows stronger from it. Winners understand that setbacks aren't just inevitable, they're necessary.
They know that every champion has been defeated, every successful business has faced near bankruptcy, and every breakthrough has been preceded by what seemed like insurmountable obstacles. But here's what makes winners different. They've developed the ability to reframe adversity. Where others see problems, they see puzzles to be solved. Where others see endings, they see new beginnings. Where others see reasons to quit, they see reasons to adapt and evolve. This reframing isn't just positive thinking, it's strategic thinking. Winners ask themselves, how can this setback become my setup for something better? They mine their failures for insights that their competitors, who haven't failed in the same way, simply don't possess.
Here's something that might surprise you. Winners are less obsessed with winning than you might think. Instead, they're obsessed with the process that leads to winning. They understand a fundamental principle. You can't control outcomes, but you can control the inputs that influence those outcomes. So instead of fixating on the scoreboard, they focus on their preparation. Instead of obsessing over results, they perfect their routines. Instead of being outcome dependent, they become process dependent. This approach serves them in two crucial ways. First, it keeps them grounded in the present moment, focused on what they can actually do right now, rather than being paralyzed by future uncertainties. Second, it makes them more resilient to temporary setbacks because their self-worth isn't tied to any single result. Think about the greatest athletes in the world. They don't just train for the big match. They approach every training session with the same intensity and focus. They understand that excellence isn't an act, but a habit. And habits are built through consistent, deliberate practice, not sporadic bursts of motivation. Winners also possess something that's becoming increasingly rare in our instant gratification culture: patience. They understand that meaningful success is not a sprint, but a marathon. They're willing to invest time and effort into things that won't pay off immediately because they're playing a longer game. This long-term thinking affects every decision they make. They choose difficult conversations over comfortable silence. They invest in relationships rather than just transactions. They build systems rather than chasing quick fixes. They develop skills rather than just seeking opportunities. This patience isn't passive, it's active and strategic. Winners use time as their ally, understanding that compound growth applies not just to investments, but to skills, relationships, and personal development. They know that small, consistent improvements, compounded over time, create extraordinary results. Another hallmark of winners is their relationship with learning. They're not just open to feedback, they actively seek it out. They understand that growth requires honest assessment, and honest assessment often comes from external perspectives. Winners surround themselves with people who will tell them the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. They seek out mentors, coaches, and advisors, not to validate their existing beliefs, but to challenge and expand them. They read voraciously, not just for entertainment, but for insight and wisdom. Most importantly, they learn from everyone and everything. They extract lessons from their successes, but even more from their failures. They study their competitors, not with jealousy or resentment, but with curiosity and respect. They understand that learning is not just a phase of life, it's a way of life. Let's talk about mental toughness. Not the kind that suppresses emotions, but the kind that manages them effectively. Winners understand that emotions are data, not directors. They feel fear, doubt, and frustration just like everyone else, but they don't let these emotions drive their decisions. They've developed the ability to acknowledge difficult emotions without being controlled by them. When they feel afraid, they don't ignore the fear, they investigate it. Is it warning them of a real danger, or is it just the discomfort of growth? When they feel angry, they use that energy constructively rather than destructively. This emotional intelligence extends to how they handle pressure. Winners don't avoid pressure, they learn to perform under it. They understand that pressure is a privilege, a sign that what they're doing matters. They develop routines and mental strategies that help them stay calm and focused when the stakes are highest.
Finally, let's discuss how winners think about standards. They don't just have high standards, they have the right standards. They measure themselves not just against others, but against their own potential. They compete not just to beat others, but to become the best version of themselves. This internal scorecard liberates them from the exhausting game of constant comparison. They celebrate others' successes without feeling diminished by them. They focus on their own lane whilst respecting the journeys of others. Winners also understand that standards must be accompanied by systems. It's not enough to want excellence. You must create the structures and habits that make excellence inevitable. They design their environment, their routines, and their relationships to support their highest aspirations.
As we wrap up today's conversation, I want you to understand something crucial. Everything we've discussed today is available to you. The mindset of a winner isn't reserved for a chosen few. It's a choice that anyone can make. It's a choice to take ownership rather than make excuses. It's a choice to see challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles. It's a choice to focus on growth rather than comfort. It's a choice to build systems rather than chase results. It's a choice to learn from everything and everyone. The question isn't whether you have what it takes to think like a winner. The question is whether you're willing to do the work to develop that mindset. Because make no mistake, it is work. It requires consistent effort, uncomfortable honesty, and the courage to change patterns that no longer serve you.
But here's the beautiful truth. Every small step you take in this direction compounds. Every time you choose ownership over blame, you strengthen that neural pathway. Every time you reframe a setback as a set-up, you build resilience. Every time you focus on process over outcome, you develop the patience that separates winners from everyone else. The mindset of a winner isn't about being perfect, it's about being intentional. It's about making conscious choices about how you think, how you respond, and how you grow. And that journey begins with your very next thought. So as you leave here today, I challenge you to start thinking like the winner you're capable of becoming. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make right now. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep winning.